Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Charlie Chan at the Olympics. Why am I doing this review? It's because they took my old review of this movie down due to YouTube censorship. Instead of making me super angry, moving all my videos to Rumble by limiting the number of uploads I'm allowed to do in any given time period, they just took it down without issuing any strikes against my channel. So here I am trying to reconstruct a movie that I saw a few years ago. I don't remember anything about it except for maybe I disliked it because it was a little bit too politically correct. It is 1937. And murderous spies invade Olympic Games. Charlie Chan at the Olympics. This is not one of the better Warner Orland. Charlie Chan's, if I remember correctly. I'm just going to go through this real quick and get this over with. I don't remember what rating I gave it, probably 2 out of 5, maybe 1 out of 5. But that's just my guesstimation. Charlie Chan at the Olympics is a 1937 U.S. mystery film directed by H. Bruce Humberstone and starring Warner Orland, Catherine DeMille, and Pauline Moore. It is possibly the most topical Charlie Chan film as it features actual footage from the 1936 Berlin Olympics. There's also a scene where Charlie crosses the Atlantic in the Hindenburg. This is the 14th film starring Warner Orland as Chan, produced by Fox. All right. Production company 20th Century Fox, distributed by 20th Century Fox. Release date, May 21st, 1937. Running time, 71 minutes. Don't have any complaint about the running time. Country, United States. Language, English. If I remember correctly, this is very patriotic, pro-USA. Jesse Owens put egg on Hitler's face at the 1936 Berlin Olympics after Hitler said that black men were inferior. Jesse Owens proved him wrong. I'm not a big fan of Olympics to begin with. And I'll get into some of the self-censorship of this movie later. Charlie Chan is proud of his oldest son, swimmer Keye Luke, the great Keye Luke, being chosen to represent the United States at the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin. Meanwhile, over the skies of Chan's Honolulu, the Hopkins plane is demonstrating an improvement of remote radio control to the U.S. military. The aircraft is hijacked by a concealed stowaway, the device stolen, and the test pilot murdered. When Chan and his astute second son, Charlie Jr., played by Lane Tom Jr., identify the stowaway, he finds only the man's body. On the passenger of the list of the only aircraft to leave Honolulu for the mainland after the incident are Richard Masters, Alan Lane, and Yvonne Rowland, Catherine DeMille. Masters was the intended test pilot but injured his shoulder, and Masters had to be replaced. He left on the Pan Am Clipper to travel to the Olympics himself as a competitor. Perusing the list, Hopkins, Jonathan Hale, recognizes the name of arms dealer Arthur Hughes, C. Henry Gordon. Forgot to put C. Henry Gordon in the description. Several of the suspects head for Germany on SS Manhattan, with the U.S. Olympic team, Chan, Hughes, and the inventor Cartwright arrive before them, but taking the Zeppelin Hindenburg aboard Manhattan. Lee Chan suspects Roland of being an adventuress. He spots her putting a piece of paper in her book and Hughes taking it. He confides in fellow Olympian Betty Adams, Pauline Moore, Master's girlfriend. When the ship docks, German Inspector Strausser, Chan, and Hopkins go to question Roland, only to find her gone and her cabin rifle. Chan is reunited with his son Lee when the latter sneaks into the cabin through a porthole to play detective. On the plane trip to Berlin, Chan learns that Lee saw Roland borrow a camera from Adams. Hughes overhears the pair speculate that the invention was smuggled off the ship in it. Hughes advises Chan to stop investigating. Then Hughes spots a gun barrel in a passing car, and Hughes pushes the pair to safety. A shot strikes their compartment window. Later, Hughes arranges for Adams' camera to be stolen, but Hughes finds nothing inside. A hotel maid tries to steal the invention hidden in Adams' candy box, but she is foiled by Chan and Strausser. When she runs to the window to warn her accomplices, Charlie substitutes a book for the device without being noticed. Hopkins insists on keeping the candy box in his hotel suite, where he is visited by Hughes. Chan and the policeman break in when they hear gunfire. They find Cartwright on the floor. He claims Hughes accused Hopkins of taking the device to double-cross the stockholders of his company. Then, after Hughes left, Hopkins took the invention at gunpoint, and Hopkins slugged him. Roland takes the candy box to her employer, diplomat, the Honorable Charles Zaraka, played by Morgan Wallace. When they discover the substitution, Roland surmises that Chan has the device. Zaraka sends Chan a ticket to the Olympic opening ceremony. When Chan verbally spars with him and Roland, Lee is kidnapped. Chan allows himself to be taken to Zaraka to exchange the device for his son. Hopkins is brought in to verify it is the invention. He does, even though it is an imitation with a radio beacon inside. Satisfied, Zaraka orders his men to dispose of the Chans. When Hughes and his men burst in, Hughes threatens to kill Lee if Chan does not produce the real equipment. But the police arrive just in time to rescue the detective. Hopkins is found unconscious from a gunshot in another room. Cartwright accuses Hughes of the shooting, but Chan proves that Cartwright was responsible for that and also the murder of his accomplice back in Honolulu. All right. So you got the plot. I wasn't too crazy about this, as I seem to recall. If I don't remember the movie, it means I wasn't too crazy about it. But other people are real crazy about this. They give it a 7 out of 10. Ridiculously high rating on IMDb. Average rating of 7 out of 10. 1,900 ratings. So it's kind of a lame dreams flick. Just looking at the photos, Key Luke in the USA sweater looks ridiculous. When a strategically important new aerial guidance system is stolen, Charlie traces it to the Berlin Olympics, where he has to battle spies and enemy agents to retrieve it. So I guess he's Charlie Chan is teaming up with the Nazi dude at the Olympics. More like this: Charlie Chan at Monte Carlo, Charlie Chan at the circus, Charlie Chan at the opera, and Charlie Chan at the racetrack. Uh, while several views of swastika flags were blotted out, other instances of Nazism were missed, e.g., as the German torchbearer turns left in the Grand Stadium Avenue in the lower left corner of the screen can be seen four militarily clad males giving the Nazi salute. Plus, as the same torchbearer descends the stadium steps, all the youth lining the way are giving the Nazi salute, even with four outstretched arms in very front of the camera. The radio direction finder used by the German police is clearly marked as made by an American company, a U.S. company, I should say, and sports a compass rose marked in English, E for East, and so on, instead of O for Austin. Even if the German police would operate imported equipment, the markings would be in German, and it is unlikely that the Nazi regime would allow import of anything the German industry was able to produce, not to mention that German radio equipment of the time was among the best in the world. And we all have to thank National Socialism. Charlie Chan Jr., G-Pop, they're having a hard time finding that plane as we are catching fish. Charlie Chan says, fish in the sea like flea on dog, always present but difficult to find. These are the kind of wise sayings from Charlie Chan that I always enjoy. This was edited into Who Done It Theater, Charlie Chan at the Olympics, 2015. All right, here's a review from Aesthetic, dated March 20th, 2008. The Aesthetic 1 is giving it a 7 out of 10 rating. The title of the review on IMDb is Decent Entry, but pulled from circulation shortly after its release. Some unnamed source at IMDb alleges that Charlie Chan at the Olympics, a film capitalizing on the then recent 1936 Berlin Olympics taking place in Germany under Chancellor Hitler, and released on May 21st, 1937 in the US and in early fall of that year in Europe, was pulled from circulation shortly after its release because it takes place in Nazi Germany. Could someone please define shortly after its release? The film, which sympathetically portraying the civilian police force in Berlin, interestingly playing for irony and possibly surprise or subtext by frequent film villain Frederick Vogading, pointedly incorporated actual newsreel footage of Jesse Owens' Olympic triumph, which was so upsetting to the Herr Hitler. The film plot had considerable hurdles to surmount in avoiding the identification of the foreign power trying to steal the MacGuffin military device. Most U.S. or British films of the period would have been more blatant in assuming the national guilty party, but Germany was still a major market for U.S. motion pictures, even if the Chan character himself must have been anathema to Nazi party leadership. Even with the unsettling Anschluss in Austria and the Munich crisis over the dismembering of Czechoslovakia, with the invasion of Poland and the formal start of European hostilities in World War II still a little more than a year away, U.S. entry in the conflict more than 4 years away, United States and pretty much the rest of the world was doing its best to ignore distressing realities within the Reich, while Charlie Chan at the Olympics had to do a fine dance to play to that desire to turn a blind eye. It largely succeeded. It's difficult to believe that 20th Century Fox would withdraw an entry in the wildly popular Chan series in anything which would could be realistically considered soon. Anything less than 6 months. A specific date of the withdrawal would be appreciated, while the film overall may be one of the lesser Chan efforts. That's my argument based on what I remember. Very limited speck in my brain that I remember by looking at the Key Luke USA sweater picture. It has moments. The initial setup in the US, the travelogue race to Berlin, the scenes in the Olympic Stadium, and the final confrontation with the killers, which are as good as any in the canon, to be dismissed as pulled from circulation shortly after its release. If it is demonstrably not true, would be unfortunate. All right. So that's everything I have to say about Charlie Chan at the Olympics. I think I disliked it. I can't remember. But anyways, I think Charlie Chan was trying to be politically correct in this one. They tried to blot out all the Nazi symbols at the Berlin Olympics, whatever stadium that they were using in 1936. Oh, Adrian's in the chat room. Cool. Anyways, I had to redo this video because YouTube took it down. It wasn't safe for the watered down, censored YouTube community. So now I'm redoing it again based on my limited memory. All right. So I'm thinking 2 out of 5 stars, maybe 1 out of 5 stars, not the better of the Charlie Chan. And it's kind of ironic that we say politically correct Charlie Chan when they blot out the Nazi symbols, because after all, Charlie Chan is played by a white guy. Throughout the series, I don't think Charlie Chan has ever been played by a Chinese guy, which kind of makes it better in a way, I think. But you have to temper the lack of Nazi symbols with the fact that Charlie Chan is a white dude with tons of makeup, and he still doesn't look Chinese. So, sorry I had to squeeze that review in. Not that anybody besides Adrian is actually interested in my re-upload, but maybe I did a better job of covering the bases. Maybe it's better if I just go back and redo all of these movie reviews that didn't pass the YouTube smell test from 3 years ago. So at least I can dig deeper into the plot and some of the trivia behind this thing. I'm not crazy about the Olympics. I'm not too terribly patriotic, but it was kind of interesting to see Charlie Chan working very closely with the Nazi police. Like, the Nazi dude is sort of a good guy. I'm sure if they had made this movie 3 years later, it would be very, very different if they had made this in 1940. But I guess they filmed it in 36, came out at 37. So you kind of see this film from a different historical lens, from the perspective of U.S. indifference towards Hitler before he invaded Poland. So there you have it. That's the end of my review. That's all I can remember. Sorry if I missed anything later.